Yeah, what do you want?
On the Epstein files, you talked about Democrats who were in there. Elon Musk was also in there, and so was your Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and correspondence that he had with him. Did you read those new files that were published by the Department of Justice?
I didn't. I have a lot of things I'm doing, a lot of things I'm doing. I don't know. You mentioned 2 names. I'm sure they're fine. I'm sure they're fine. Otherwise, it would have been major headlines.
A lot of women who are survivors of Epstein's are unhappy with those redactions that came out. Some of them, entire witness interviews are totally blacked out. Do you think that they should be more transparent?
The fact that they thought they released too much. I heard that, and you tell me something else. No, I think it's really time for the country to get onto something else. Really. Now that nothing came out about me, other than it was a conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people. But I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
But what would you say to people
like
who feel like they haven't gotten justice, Mr. President?
Something that people care about. Yeah, what did you say? Go ahead,
CNN. What would you say to the survivors who feel like they haven't gotten justice?
You are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. She's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile on your face.
I'm asking you about survivors.
You know why? You know why you're not smiling? Because you know you're not telling the truth, and you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you.
Do you dipwads even read your own headlines? Are you that stupid? These are these media morons. People who've never spent a day wearing a badge, never kicked in a door, never arrested some child predator or some bank robber or some gang member. These morons don't know anything about the safety status of the country.
But it was a level 10 problem. It was never going to please everyone. The person I thought at the time who nailed what the issues were with this was our good friend Mike Davis. I'll play the CNN the clip next, but throw up Davis's tweet. There were a ton of problems with this. There was grand jury material. There was, he put this out. Anyone who rapes kids deserves the death penalty. Amen. Here's the problem with the Epstein mess. The FBI doesn't have the evidence many thought it did. I want to see the files, folks. I said, don't let it go. I meant it. We got elected. We looked at it. The file was not, what was in there was not what we thought would be in there. There are not tapes with powerful men raping kids. There is not a list. Epstein's Rolodex was already public. The file's largely unreleasable for many reasons, including grand jury material, which they're moving to get a lot of that out. Court records under seal, child pornography that was downloaded from the internet. You can read the rest of it. Protection of victims. We obviously don't want victims' names out there. Here's another one. Wait, keep that up for a second. Double or triple hearsay. You're seeing it now. You're seeing on Twitter, like this guy said Joey Bag of Donuts, cut this woman with a razor, or this young girl while raping her. And you're like, wow, that's a really horrible story. It's terrible. And then you find out Joey Bag of Donuts was some famous athlete who was playing a game in Phoenix that night. Like a lot of this stuff was just people called, not all, by the way, not all of it. This is an extremely serious case. Let me be crystal clear. But that doesn't mean every single tip that came in, had any kind of veracity to it at all. A lot of the stuff was clearly debunked. He said, does anyone believe Bondi, Patel, or Bongino would cover up for Bill Clinton or Bill Gates? Didn't even make sense. I was all over this case on my show. The Trump DOJ wanted to be fully transparent, but it couldn't at the time for the reasons above. It's not going to satisfy many, and that's fine. But folks, I'm not going to spend the next 2 years talking about it. This administration got you the information. You can all look at it. And a lot of people are using it to divide us from the inside. Those are just the facts. That's just the way it goes. And by the way, the dividing people from the inside thing is not working. A lot of this is bullshit. A lot of it is foreign operations designed to make us divorce ourselves from the inside, current thing, everything. It is a deadly serious case. There is zero doubt about it. Everyone in the administration treated it as such.
When you read from the inside, Sean, when you see the details of what these just absolute animals did to President Trump, and the barriers that broke down and the guardrails, it was, I'm not shocked often, Sean. I'm really not. I'm not, again, I'm not trying to put on some faux set of armor. I'm just not shocked often. I've lived 1,000 lifetimes between the Secret Service, the NYPD, running for office, TV shows, and all this other stuff. Just reading through it and seeing it in detail for the first time all put together, you can't run a republic like this. You can't. Wow. You absolutely cannot. It was just stunning how all these guardrails broke down at the exact same time, and nobody there. Thank God there wasn't, it was and still is a long-ranging investigation into this stuff, because it's just frightening how no one thought to speak up and say, hey, man, not only is this wrong, this is like demonic. This is evil stuff.
Part of it, I suspect there are a lot of other questions that, one should also
most
ask.
certainly.
So
but I would think that is one of the best motivators that we have, is having dirt on people like that, especially something that could ruin your career, especially people that are deeply embedded in this system of people knowing things about people and using those at their advantage. I mean, that's an age-old strategy in politics. That was J. Edgar Hoover's entire modus operandi.
Yeah, look, my riff on it was always that it's a little bit different from the J. Edgar Hoover thing, and the question was always whether the people doing it knew they were getting compromised. And so it's the vibe is not that you somehow got compromised. It was more you were joining this secret club.
Right.
And you got to be made.
Yes.
You're a made man in the mafia,
and you get to do crazy things.
No. It's only if we have compromise on you.
What kind of precedent does it set that the Clintons are now going to come as a result of these contempt resolutions?
Well, listen, I think that the investigation into Epstein, it's so important that it is bipartisan. I think it's important that the integrity of this investigation, I think it is uniting and shocking the American people across partisan lines. And I think that everyone with information needs to participate in an investigation that opens so many questions. First of all, why haven't so many people been prosecuted? Why have they continued to not be prosecuted? Why is Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice continuing to hide the majority of the Epstein files still, which they admit to the public contain much more, even more direct evidence of shocking, genuinely shocking crimes and sexual abuse of women, minors, and also increasingly men that are saying that they were trafficked in connection to the Epstein orbit. And so we need to get to the bottom of it. Everyone needs to participate in this investigation. I think at the end of the day, it does not matter if you're in terms of who is implicated in this, if you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat, if you're a donor, it doesn't matter. We are talking about sexual crimes and trafficking of children, women, and victims of all kinds. And it seems to go into such a pervasive and extensive extent, like we just have to get to the bottom of it.
There is a growing sense that you have a small number of elite, of very, very rich people who hang out with each other, who really see themselves as above the law. Their world is not my world, it's not your world, it's not ordinary people's worlds. They live in a special world. And I worry that what you're seeing now in our country today is you got oligarchs with credible money. They also live in a different world. And I think that is why the American people are responding, so strongly. They go through a red light, they get stopped, they get fined. These guys do terrible things. That's okay. You're rich and you're powerful.
The latest Epstein files drop has been shocking and honestly a bit overwhelming. Information is coming out about everything from Epstein's ties to Trump and Israeli intelligence and also Russian intelligence, the CIA, and multiple European royal and political circles. We now know that Epstein facilitated meetings between J.D. Vance's sugar daddy, Peter Thiel, and Russian intelligence, and it seems very much like right-wing populist governments were being pushed to deliberately collapse markets and deregulate crypto. It's a lot. Alex Jones could be doing victory laps as the Rothschilds show up multiple times, but instead he's running cover for Trump and, more likely, whoever's paying to keep him on the air. Every single person involved in Epstein's disgusting abuse of women and children should be exposed and punished, as should anybody who's been working to undermine democracies all over the world. We're not made to process this much news in just one go, and that's what the administration is relying on. Thankfully, independent journalists are making the connections that we're all trying to establish on our own. And one of the more interesting things to come out of the Epstein Files reporting is the jmail.world website. So shortly after the first Epstein Files dropped back in November 2025, developers Luke Eigel and Riley Waltz created an interactive replica of the Gmail interface where anyone can read Jeffrey Epstein's emails, see his Amazon purchases, his photos, from all these different releases as though they are signed in as him. It's an interesting and innovative way to display a ton of information in a way that's accessible to the public and useful for journalists. If this administration is relying on things getting lost in the sauce, they don't understand the internet.